So WWE's Night of Champions happened on Saturday, and one of the biggest stories, it was a great pay-per-view overall, but the biggest story, hands down, undoubtedly, came from Sami Zayn winning the WWE title. And the story from that, first of all, let's address the elephant in the room before we get into what happened. The elephant in the room is obviously we know WWE is scripted. Okay, wrestling is scripted, right? However, much like you can gain a lesson from a movie that is scripted and edited and everything like that, I feel like you could also gain a lesson or get told a story from wrestling that also happens to be scripted. So, just want to give you guys a little disclaimer before we dive into what happened on Saturday. So, to give you guys a general idea, I want to put you guys in a mind frame of imagine whatever it is you do, or whatever it is you dreamed of wanting to do, or whatever you want to do in your dream idea. We're in dream idea world, whatever you want to do. Imagine you were blessed to be able to do it. And you start and you're over 24 years into the business, and you have still not reached your pinnacle in whatever it is you do. You still haven't reached the point to where you wanted to get to. Over 24 years and you still aren't there. You started doing whatever it is you dreamed of doing in 2002, and you still ain't there. But then, along the way, you catch a break. So, you get a break and you actually have time to breathe a little sigh of relief, because even if you're not at the pinnacle to where you want to be, to where all the things you dreamed of, you get a huge career boost because you get to the platform that you want to be on. And you still don't have what you would have dreamed of or what you wanted ideally, but you're on a platform. You're on the platform to where you always wanted to be, though. You get on the platform, and you're on that platform for over 13 years, right? And once again, the story still remains. You still have not reached your pinnacle as far as what you want to do and whatever it is you dream of doing, or whatever it is you put the idea in your mind that you wanted to do. You still haven't reached it. You're on the platform now, but over 13 years, you still haven't reached that point. And all your friends around you, all the people who you cool with around you, they have. That was the position that Sami Zayn was in. Pause. That was what Sami Zayn dealt with before Saturday. That was what and Sami Zayn isn't a guy to where he, will blame anybody or blame anybody or say, oh, it's this person's fault or that person's fault or whatever the situation is. He's not a bitter person. He's not a person that, hates on your success because his hasn't arrived yet. He's not that kind of person. If you know Sami Zayn and have actually, had a chance to just see his, stuff backstage and see how he interacts with other wrestlers and interacts with his friends backstage and stuff like that, and just how he's so supportive of a wrestler and stuff like that to his friends who have won titles and stuff like that. So you could tell that he's not that person that would, hate on anybody just because his success hasn't arrived yet. But he's still human. So when he's looking at all his friends around him, Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, people who he's been around, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, all these people who he's been around, Chris Jericho, he was around him at one point of his career too. All these people who he's been around and been infused with and had matches with, all these things, man, who he's been in NXT with. All these things, all these different wrestlers who have, and even if their time has also, I guess you could say, faded for them to be in the spotlight as well, but at least they had a chance to have a little moment in the spot. At least they had a little chance to get a moment in the spotlight. They were given that opportunity by management to have their moment in the sun. Before Saturday, Sami Zayn had none of those opportunities. Not one. He was an Intercontinental Champion, yeah, but that's it. Like, he's done some things, of course, but other than, like, and no offense to those championships, because all championships, in my opinion, especially like on a WWE level or wrestling level, whatever, all championships take a level of difficulty or a level of commitment to win, period. And I know, like I said, I know it's scripted, but management has to believe in you to the point to where they can put a belt to put a title actually on you, to where you can actually have a title and represent the brand and represent the WWE and all these different things. And yeah, he's been tag team champion. He's had a couple titles in his career, but as far as management believing that he actually could carry the flag as one of the top guys, he's never ever gotten that confidence before, ever. Now he's been close. He's had matches with Roman Reigns and people like that. So he's been close. He's been close enough to people that were actually given the confidence to be one of the top guys. He's been close enough to them that he knew what they had to go through and what the grind of being one of the top guys is like. However, he was never given that opportunity. Never. And like I said, all the people around him were given those opportunities. Now, Sami's been doing this since 2002. He's been wrestling since 2002. Over 24 years in the business. So he goes to WWE, over 13 years there. Never had the confidence to be one of the top guys for management. They never had the confidence in him to be one of the top guys. And keep in mind, Sami isn't one of those, no offense to any wrestler out there, because like I said, I can't do it, or anyone, that's just, that has anything bad to say about wrestling. Not anybody can be a wrestler. So Sami isn't one of those wrestlers that do it for the check or do it for the check. Is nice. Like in any profession, the check is nice, but if you really love it, the check is a bonus. If you really love it, I don't care what profession it is, the check is nice, but you do it because you love it, and then the check is like a nice bonus, right? Sami is one of those wrestlers. No offense to any wrestler out there, that may do it for more, monetary gain or whatever. But and ain't nothing wrong with that at all. But no offense to those wrestlers, but Sami is not one of those wrestlers. Sami is an absolute workhorse. Like I said, he's been doing this since 2002. 2002, been in the WWE over 13 years. Never had the confidence from management to he's around these guys, so let's try to put him in it. No, it's never been a thought to put him as one of the top guys until Saturday. And the story that I got from that is, if you stay, I don't care what it is, and I know, like I said, wrestling is scripted or whatever, but it's still a story to gain from it. The story from that was, people can say whatever they want. You can doubt at times. You can doubt at times. You can wonder at times. You can all these things at times, and just fall a victim, if you will, to just this mindset of just Kind of why me? And it would have been so easy for Sami to say that over these years. Why me? Like why not? Why haven't I got a chance to hold a title? Even if it was brief, but why? I mean, why haven't I had a chance to hold a title? Why everybody around me get a chance to hold a title before I do? And probably doing it longer than they have. No offense to those guys, but I've probably been doing it longer than they have. So, I mean, why don't I get the confidence? Why don't I get the chances? Why it'd have been so easy for him to fall a victim to the why me complex, and is it do they just not like me? It would have been easy for him to fall into that trap. But if you stay dedicated enough, and I'm not saying you're not going to doubt. I'm not saying it ain't going to be hard times. I'm not saying it's not going to be times where you do wonder, why me? I'm not saying it's not going to be times where you don't wonder that. Because I'm pretty sure he had those thoughts at some times. And rightfully so, understandably so, he had a right to wonder that. So I'm not saying it's not going to come without those thoughts, because it probably is. But if you stay dedicated to something and just stay locked in enough to the point to where you just accept your disappointment, but just keep working, keep grinding, keep hustling, keep that persistence. Keep that confidence. Keep that confidence in yourself. Keep that faith that God will eventually give you the chance to shine like you know you can. If you do those things, and just like I said, most importantly, like I said, have that faith in God that He'll give you the chance to shine like you know you can, and like you know He's been preparing you to do. If you just stay locked in there long enough, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week, it may not be next month, next year, but eventually, it might take 24 years, it might take 13 years, but eventually, God will bless you with that opportunity. And when you get blessed with that opportunity, all the things that you have prepared or all the things that you didn't even know this, but all the things that God was preparing you for, that you were preparing for, that you were thinking of, all those times. Think about all those times where Sami was probably in the gym or at the performance center, just working, not knowing what his future will hold. Because you got to think, Sami Zayn got a family, got a wife, he got all these things that he could worry about and just be like, you know what, this ain't worth it. My time ain't gonna come. He could have easily, it would have been so, and honestly, not only would it have been easy for Sami to think like that, but you would have understood why. Because, like I said, he's been objectively doing this longer than probably most of the people around him. And everybody around him, they got their chance in the spotlight. Some of them multiple times. They got their chance in the spotlight. And Sami just has been that guy just chilling in the car. He just been that guy just there, being a soldier, being the workhorse, being the guy that's on the road, being the guy that you could always rely on for a good match. You could always rely on to make anyone look good. He's always just been that guy, been that workhorse, been that person that just is a worker. And it would have been so easy for him to say, you know what? I've probably reached my absolute peak with how far this could go. I'm just going to hang my wrestling boots up and I'm just going to go be with my family. And it would have been understandable for him to do that. It would have been. Or at least from my perspective, it would have been. But he stayed locked in enough, and he loved what he was doing enough to where he was able to stay locked in long enough for him to finally be blessed with that chance to shine in the spotlight. And all those training sessions, matches that I'm pretty sure that he probably had those thoughts in the back of his mind. All those matches that he probably thought at the time no one noticed or no one was paying attention because he wasn't getting those shots. All the times that he was just a worker, like I said, just a worker, just being there in the background that he thought no one noticed. All those times where he probably was on the road away from his family that he thought no one noticed. All the times where he was, I'm sure he's not that jealous person, but let's call a spade a spade. All those times where he was looking around and all the people around him and all his friends are winning titles and world heavyweight championships and having main events and stuff like all these times where he was looking around and all his friends were getting title shots and all his friends have been champions and all his friends have had time in the spotlight and he hadn't. All those times where he thought nobody noticed his dedication, his work ethic, his passion, his hustle. He probably had times of thinking nobody noticed that. He probably got to a point, and I could definitely see this. I don't know, but from the outside looking in, I could definitely probably picture this. He probably was to the point to where the only people that notice me is the people I work with, my coworkers. That's it. They tell me good match after we get done wrestling, they tell me good match. Okay, good match. All right, cool. Well, clearly management don't care because they ain't give me no. I mean, they give me a couple. They give me a title every now and then. That's cool. But I mean, anytime to actually have a prestigious run with the top belt, I mean, they still haven't given me that. So I guess that's just not in my cards. I guess they just don't notice what I'm doing. He probably had a lot of thoughts like that or similar to that, but instead of focusing on that, he just stayed to what he could control, which is still being the worker, still being him, still being Sami, still being that guy that people like to get into the ring with and gain experience from and wrestle and actually go toe to toe with in the square circle. He just stayed being Sami, stayed being that worker, stayed being that dedicated person that he's always been. And eventually, all those times that he thought no one noticed, management noticed. It's a quote that I love, and I don't even know who said this quote. I'll be honest, I don't know who said it originally, but I love this quote to the fullest. Work so hard that they can't ignore you. That's literally Sami Zayn. He worked to the point to where Triple H, a.k.a. Paul Levesque, couldn't ignore, or not even Triple H, but just the entire board, the entire staff couldn't ignore him any longer. To where they pulled the trigger on giving him the actual championship. And what sealed it was because me and my brother were watching the promo on SmackDown the night before, and I was just thinking, after watching the promo, after I finally seen the promo and everything, I was thinking, just looking at Sami walk down the aisle with the title and everything after winning it. That promo moment probably had to feel so freaking good to Sami, pause, because the whole point, like me and my brother were talking about, of the promo was everybody was roasting Sami or talking about Sami because, all these people around you have won. We won. I've had a world title. He had a world title. Cody done been champion. Gunther done been champion. Jay done been champion. All these people, Roman done been. All these people have been champion. Where your title at? Where your world heavyweight champion run at? Where your universal title run at? Even Finn Balor has been Universal Champion, and we know how disrespected Finn Balor is inside WWE at times. Even he's been champion. Where your world title at? It's non-existent. I can't see where your world title at. That moment must have felt so. Even in that moment must have felt so gratifying for Sami, because, like I said, WWE is scripted, but that moment must have felt so gratifying because, in Sami's, like, along Sami's journey, he probably has had those thoughts. And so for them to bring it up, knowing the next night that he was actually finally going to achieve that has always eluded him, that must have felt like the most rewarding feeling, like most rewarding promo followed up by pay-per-view ever, for at least for him, because like they literally, in my opinion, were kind of playing off of probably thoughts that Sami probably had at times, like exactly what they were saying, point by point. Dang, my friend Jey Uso, he been world champion. Roman obviously done been champion. Cody done been champion. Kevin done been champion. Like, Gunther done been champion. All these people around me, even, like I said, early in my career with Chris Jericho, earlier in my career, he's been champion. All these people been champion, and they just, nor me, like, all these people have been champion. They've been world heavyweight champion. They've been on main events. They've been on, and granted, Sami's had his fair of main events too, but they done been champion. They done headlined events, headlined WrestleManias, and where my time at? I feel like I work as hard as they do, and my time ain't. And he's probably had those thoughts, and in that moment, they brought up those exact points, just to have Sami know in that moment that tomorrow, all that's gonna pay off. All them nights where I doubted if my work was being noticed, all them matches that I grinded and had that passion for, and put on great matches that I thought nobody paid attention to, they actually were paying attention, and it's actually going to pay off tomorrow. They're actually going to give me the top belt tomorrow. They're actually going to let me hold the top title tomorrow. Now, and also let me give props to this. Before we get out of here, gotta give props to this as well. Not only props to Triple H, aka Paul Levesque, and the rest of the WWE board that signed off on that decision to actually have Sami hold the title, but also let me give a huge shout out to this person. Shout out to Cody Rhodes. Shout out to Cody freaking Rhodes, man, the American Nightmare. Because if you are in tune with WWE, you know how this works. Cody Rhodes could have easily told management when they said we're gonna have Sami win the title. Cody could have easily been like, no, I'm the American Nightmare. I'm the face of the company. No, I don't think it's gonna work. I'm good. He could have easily said that. As a champion, champions have said that not calling no names or anything, but champions have said that in the past, and it's been heard. I don't want to lose my title, and it's been heard, and they haven't lost their title. Cody could have easily said that, and it would have been totally in his right, if you will, to say, nah, I don't feel like dropping the title right now is worth it. Cody could have easily said that. But shout out to Cody Rhodes for being a freaking team player, bro. And being like, hey, Cody, we're going to have Sami win the title on Saturday. Cool. And not only that, but the champion took the pin. It wasn't a situation to where, yeah, Cody lost, but yeah, he didn't even get pinned. No, the champion took the pin. Cody took the pinfall. Pause. But Cody managed to essentially lose to Sami fair and square, like in that moment. And he's the face of the company, and he allowed that to happen. Shout out to Cody Rhodes for being a team player, bro. That's being a face of the company. That's been a face of the company. Management tells you have to lose, and it may hurt tremendously for you if you're the face of the company. But faces of the company, even when it may hurt to lose, it may hurt your ego to lose, management tell you, hey, on Saturday or on Sunday, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and you're gonna go ahead and put whoever you're gonna go ahead and get him the title. The willingness, and I don't care how much you didn't really want to say it or didn't, but the willingness to just be like, okay, cool. That is what makes a face a face. So, shout out to WWE on that decision. Great story came out of it. Just a great story overall. Like I said, shout out to everyone involved. I'm so happy that they actually signed off on that decision. And just shout out to Sami Zayn, man. His commitment, his perseverance, his dedication paid off. And just after all these years, man, over 24 years in the business, he finally has a top title of the brand that he has always wanted to be a part of. So shout out to Sami Zayn, shout out to WWE, shout out to everyone involved, man. Congratulations to my boy Sami Zayn, man. Great decision. It was a great thing to see on Saturday, for real.